Hi, in this video, we're going to continue from where we stopped when we talked about function. In an earlier video, we discussed the concept of function and mapping, where we looked at the different types of mapping and the types of mapping that can be classified as functions. We also looked at how we can substitute values inside of these functions and what these functions mean graphically. For the sake of this video, we're going to be talking about composite function. What does it mean and how to substitute values into composite function. So when we hear the word composite function, just flashback to that moment where we were taking composite shapes. Let's say we were to have a rectangle that was like this, and then we are adding, let's say, a triangle on top. If we're adding these two shapes together and then we want to call it a particular name, we can say this shape, we can refer to it as composite shape. So also for function, when we talk about composite function, it means we want to put a function inside another function in such a way that, let's say this were to be a machine, an f of x machine, okay, and then the output of f of x would be fed inside of another machine. Let's call this machine g of x. So let me call this machine g of x. So in such a way that if my f of x is, let's say, adding 3 to wherever it is I put inside the input, then this has an output of this. Okay, so if I were to put 2 inside, so my machine adds 3 automatically to the input, and then my output here will become 5. Now this 5 is being fed into another machine, and let's say, for instance, this g of x is simply multiplying by 3. So definitely my output here becomes 15. So what can we say? The output of one function I'm having is directly fed or is now taken as the input of another machine to generate an output also. So this, you can actually refer to it as composite function. So basically when we're feeding the output of my first function inside or as the input of my second function. And if I were to write this, I would simply say it is the same thing as me saying g f of x. So why am I writing g f of x? Or some textbooks you see something like g then f o x. So you can see something like this. It simply means g f of x. It means I'm putting in f of x function inside g of x. I hope this makes sense. So you can also represent this with an arrow diagram. So let's say we're to have this, this, and this time around we have 3 instead of 2. So if I have a dot, 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 and this is mapping out to 3 dots. So we're now saying that the output is being mapped out to the input of another function. So we have this, and then we have this, okay? So 2, 3. So f of x is my rule at the center here. And the input here is being mapped out to, or the output rather is being mapped out to the input. So in such a way that this becomes g of x. So we have something like this. So this is another way for us to represent our composite mapping. Okay, so for this to make sense, we have to take a bit of an example, or some examples. So let's look at our first example, and then we'll see what it is we can ascertain from. So let's say we're given f of x. Let's say we're given f of x in such a way that f of x is equal to x plus 1, and g of x is equal to x plus 1 all squared. And then one has to find f g of x. Okay, and Roman figure 2 we have to find g f of x. Okay. So what do we do? Simply look at the first one. We want to find f g of x. That is, we want to put everything inside g of x, inside f of x. You can think about this like a container. So let's say you have two containers. This is f of x, and then this is g of x. So if I want to put this inside of this, so I'll simply carry it and then check for the opening and then put it inside in such a way that I've not changed the function, I've just put it inside of another function. Okay, so what do we do? So again, write our f of x, write our g of x, and then we try to simplify to the best way or the lowest form possible. So for the first one, I'm putting g of x inside f of x. So f of x is equal to x plus 1. So f g of x. So anywhere I say x here, I'm going to be putting g of x inside. So what's g of x? G of x is x plus 1 all squared, then plus 1. So everything here is x, this x here. But inside of this x, I'm putting in g of x here. So this is equal to, by the time I expand this, so I have x plus 1, x plus 1 plus 1. So I'm going to FOIL this over. FOIL, FOIL, that is, I take the first one, multiply them by each other. The first terms for broke brackets, multiply them. The outer terms, this is outer, so multiply them to each other. The inner terms, this is inner, and then last term, so last and last. So in such a way that x multiplied by x, we have x squared. X multiplied by 1, we have a single x. 1 multiplied by x, again, a single x, and then 1 times 1, we have plus 1. So I have another additional plus 1, so plus 1. So this is equal to f g of x. So simplify to the lowest form now. We have x squared, x plus x, that's plus 2x. 1 plus 1, that's plus 2. So this is f g of x for the first part. Now for the second part, g of f of x. So how do we do this again? Write our g of x first, x plus 1, everything squared. So where I see x here, I'm going to write f of x. So this is equal to f of x is simply, again, put a bracket x plus 1, then plus 1, everything squared. So x plus 1, so this simply is saying x plus 2, because by the time I open it, and then open this bracket again using the FOIL method. So we have the x times x, that will give us x squared, x times 2 as plus 2x plus 2x, and then plus 4. So this is finally equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4. This is x. Okay, so this is g f of x. All right, so we can see from our solution, fg of x and g of f of x is not the same thing. They don't mean the same thing. So when you're calculating, you actually find fg of x, and then after getting it, don't mistakenly write the same thing for gf of x. You won't arrive at the same value. Okay, so let's look at another example. Let's look at another example. So this time around, we are given f of x. We're given f of x to be equal to 2x squared minus 3, and then g of x to be equal to x plus 1. So here we have to find f of x, sorry, f of g of x, and again g of f of x. So quite easy. So what do we do? Start with the first one. We're putting in g of x into f. So write your f of x first. So f of x is given as 2x3. So 2x squared minus 3. So let's write that properly. So 2x squared minus 3. And then, so if we are putting g of x inside this, we have 2 So where I see x, I'm going to write g of x instead. So that's x plus 1, so squared minus 3. So I'm going to FOIL this again. So this will be equal to 2 in the bracket of, so x times x. We have the x squared. So this will be x times 1, that's plus x times another one plus x. Add them together, that's plus 2x, and then plus 1. Okay, sorry about that, minus 3. So opening this bracket, we have 2 times x, that's 2x. Sorry, this should be x squared, so 2x squared, so plus 4x. So 2 times 1 is 2, minus 3, so that's minus 1. So this is f g of x. So now let's look for g f of x. So how do we find g f of x? Again, we start by writing. So let's try and take this up. We start by writing what g of x is. So g of x is simply x plus 1. So anywhere we see x, we're going to write the f of x counterpart. So g f of x now will simply be equal to 2x squared minus 3 plus, okay, 1. Okay, opening this bracket, we have 2x squared minus 3 plus 1, and then this is equal to 2x squared minus 2. So again, we can say f g of x is different from g f of x. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. Without wasting much time, we've come to the end of this lesson. Now it's possible that you are given three functions like f of x, g of x, h of x, and then you are told to find f of g of h of x. So you simply come to this approach. You feed one into one and then feed both into the last one. Okay, so let's just quickly make a sketch of that. So making a sketch of that. So let's say we are given, f what's it called, f of g of h of x. So let's say we're given something like this. So how do we do? So we put in h of x first of all inside what's it called, g of x, and then putting both inside f of x. Or you can simply put into f g of x and then open g of x again and then put in your h of x. Whichever way you come, you arrive at the same set of answers. So we've come to the end of this video. In our next video, we'll be looking at the largest possible domain of a function. So how do we find the largest possible domain of a function? Thank you and bye-bye.